So hi students, a happy evening. I hope my audio video both are visible. If yes, you can just make use of the chat box. You can type in the chat box if there is anything that you need to tell me. Okay. So if everything is fine, just give a thumbs up from your side, or maybe you can raise your hand so that I'll start the session. Yes, thank you so much. I hope all of you have attended the JEE practice test that happened on last Sunday. So how many of you have completed the test on last Sunday? I hope you know about the portal, right? It's amritacptpractice.in and where we used to provide free practice test on every Sunday. So this is the first session for the academic year 2023. So the aim of JEE problem solving session is whatever questions was there in the session, we'll be discussing those questions. We'll be solving them. So that's the aim of the session, and this is session number 1. And maybe in the upcoming sessions, we'll discuss more questions, and maybe I'll give you some works also to do, maybe 1 or 2 problems also to do from your side. Is my audio, video, everything fine? Can we start? And please do respond to me. So it's like, then I'll get an idea where you're or what you're doing. So please be ready with a notebook and a pen. That's really important when it comes to these problem solving sessions. So please be ready. So I'm going to share the screen. So what we used to do is we'll be solving some important questions. So for today, we'll be discussing mathematics. So just give me an idea about, is the screen visible? Is it visible to all of you? If yes, just give a thumbs up, or maybe you can just type in the chat box. I hope the chat box is accessible to all of you. Is the screen visible, children? You can just reply. Please do type in the chat box also. I hope it's visible. Um, yes, okay. Is the chat box accessible? I hope so, because I'm not able to see any student typing the chat box. Yes, okay. So okay, wait a minute. I'm trying to share it again. Yes. So here, this is the first question which we'll be discussing today. So always be ready with your pen and notebook. So please do note down these questions, that too maybe in short forms, which you will be able to understand, because we'll be discussing, maybe the session will extend up to 1 hour or 1.5 hours, depending on how you are answering these questions. So just be ready and just try to solve it along with me. So yes, I'll read out the question number 1. Let f of n is equal to 1 by 3 plus 3n by 100 multiplied by n, where n denotes the greatest integer less than or equal to n. We need to find out sigma n equal to 1 to 56 f of n. We need to find out sigma n is equal to 1 to 56. What's the value of f of n? We have 4 options here. We can just start exercising it, how we are going to solve this question. What's the value of f of n? It's already given in the question. It's 1 by 3 plus 3n by 100 multiplied by n. We have to find the value of f of n from the range 1 to 56. So how we are going to solve this question? So yes, I'm checking in the chat box. If you have completed answering the question, or if you understood how you have to answer the question, so just you can type in the chat box what's the method, how we are going to solve it. Hmm. I think nobody has answered in the chat box. Which one can be the correct answer? We'll be discussing it. Don't worry in that regard. Okay. Yes. So I think I'll discuss this question. What is given in the question? We'll first write what is given in the question. It's f of n equal to 1 by 3 plus 3n by 100 multiplied by n. Here we read the statement which is given in the question, right? It denotes the greatest integer less than or equal to n. It denotes the greatest integer less than or equal to n. So it's the greatest integer function. So what are the values? We'll take it. So we are planning to divide it into different parts from 1 to 2, 3, 4, up to 56 we have to do. So just we'll start with a trial. We'll start with by substituting 1. So when n is equal to 1, f of 1 is equal to 1 by 3 plus this n is 1. So 3 into 1 by 100. I hope the screen is visible. Can anybody type or raise your hand? Yes. So here the value of n is 1. So f of 1 is equal to 1 by 3 plus 3 into 1 by 100 multiplied by 1. So here we have the value 0.3633 multiplied by 1. So what we'll take? We'll take the first value, that is 0. So 0 multiplied by 1 is 0. Then you need to substitute the value 2. When you are substituting the value 2, it will also come to 0.393. So here also 0 into 2 is 0. So whenever you are solving this, after solving for some values, you will come to have an idea that up to, okay, I could see somebody has messaged in the group. Just hold on for a minute. Yes, I think Chiranjeet have typed the answer. It's obviously the correct answer. Okay, so we'll be discussing the remaining part. So up to n equal to 22, the value will be 0 because it will be of the form 0 0.3, 0 0.6 or 0 0.9. So up to this form, our answer will be, or the limit, the value will be, the final value of f of x will be equal to, or f of n will be equal to 0. Now we need to start from 23 to, the limit is 56. So from 23, the value will be 23. When you are going to substitute it as 24, the value will be 24. Up to 55, it is 55, the same value itself, because the range will be from 1.0 to 1.9. So we'll be multiplying it with 1. So that's why up to this range, the answer came as 55. Now after that, when it comes to f of 56, f of 56, it's 2 multiplied by 56 because here the value range changes to 2.01. So the value is 2 into 56. Now we can just simply add whatever you have found or what are you identified individually. So sigma n equal to 1 to 56, f of n is equal to f of 0 plus f of 1 plus f of 2, etc. f of 56. Up to f of 22, we have the value as 0. F of 23 to 55, we have the same values, 23 plus 24 plus 25 up to 55. And for this, it's 2 into 56. So you can simply use the basic mathematics to solve this. So this will be, we can write this as number of terms by 2, that is 33 by 2 into 23 plus 55. So this will be, this value will be 119. Sorry, 112. F of 56 is 2 into 56, which is 112, and this value is 1287. So adding the whole total, we have 1399. I hope this question is clear. I hope you are able to solve it along with me. If there is anything, you can just type it in the chat box. I hope you are able to. Yes, I could see the answer of one student in the chat box. I hope everybody is able to solve this question because this is such a simple question. It can give you +3 marks in the examination. So here the correct answer for this question is 1399. and it's the option D. So just go through the question once again, how we have solved this question. F of n is given and they have given n as the greatest integer function. So we need to get the value in the range. So substituting for the values n equal to 1 to 56, which is given in the question. So up to 22, when you're identifying, you have an idea that the value will be 0. From that up to 56, the value will be the corresponding numbers itself, the value of n itself. Now when it comes to 56, it's 2 into 56. So just simply add it using the basic mathematics and you have the answer here. Is this question clear? Can we move to the next one? I could not see students responding, so that's why. Yes. So I have the second question here for you. It's just a yes. So this is the second question, which is the answer. I hope the screen is visible to all of you. The mean deviation from mean for the set of observations -2, 0, 2, 4, 6 is. We have the set of observations. 5 set of observations are given. We need to find the mean deviation from the mean of this set of observations. This is a very simple question. So it's like in JEE also, in the our entrance exam also, there is negative marking. So we need to be really careful when you're answering the question. So the options are option A is 2, option B is 2.3, option C is 2.4, option D is 2.5. So let's see how many of you have answered or typed the answers on the chat box. Okay, I need to scroll up. Is it for the first question or the second question? Can you please mention that? I think the name is HHH. Neeraj, okay, wait a minute. I'll just scroll up. So students, you can work out this question. So before that, if you wish, I'll be able to share this PDF also. So this is the question. Those students who are, you can just take a screenshot of this question. So maybe when you want to revise, you can use this also. So the value of f of n is given. It's asking us to find sigma n equal to 1 to 56 f of n. Simply substitute those values, understand what's the range of values, find out how you can simplify it and you can get into a number, an option. Yes. So you can work out, I'm so sorry, it moved long. Yes. So you can work out the second question. How many of you got the answers? The mean deviation from the mean for the set of observations -20246 is. Which is the answer? This is a very simple question, right? Okay, you're asking me the options. Okay, somebody have replied it's 2. Okay, let's see. What's the answer? The option contains, option A is 2, then 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. 2, 2.3, 2.4, 2.5. Okay, I can see a lot of students started messaging in the chat box. Okay. I think my answer got wrong because when I answered, I got a different, when I solved, I got a different answer. But everybody in the chat box has received the first answer. Okay. So can anybody unmute and tell me how you have solved this question? I hope you as participants, you are able to unmute and you are able to talk. Is it possible for you? Why? I hope I want the session to be interactive. So I think I'll give somebody permission. Okay. So I think we'll give permission to Krishna Priya. No, I'm not able to do it. Okay. Okay, fine. I think I need to ask our tech person. I'm not having an idea about it. So how you have found it? The mean deviation from mean for the set of observations. So I got a different answer and I'm stuck in it. So I need to find out the mean of all observations. So the number of 1 divided by the total, that's 5. So I got it as 2. Now I need to find out xi minus x bar, right? So I have subtracted each of those terms, and after subtracting all those terms, what's the equation or what's the formula? It's sigma xi minus x bar by n. So I have the individual terms. It's 4 plus 2 plus 0 plus 2 plus 4. So I got the answer as 12 by 5. It's 2.4. How many of you think this is the correct one? How many of you feel? So the question is mean deviation. There are two terms. Mean is total divided by the number. Mean deviation is the change. So you need to subtract each one. You need to find the difference. You need to add them and you need to divide it by the total number of terms. Is this correct? I'm not able to see you students replying in the chat box. Okay. Okay, some students have typed, I'm getting different answer which is not there in this option. Okay. So how come? I'm so sorry. Yes, just do the question once again. Just check the observations. It's minus 2, 0, 2, 4 and 6. So what will be the total of this one? This is 12 minus 2, so 10 by 5, which is 2. It's x bar, which is the mean. Once I find the mean, I need to find out the difference between these terms, right? So it will be xi minus x bar, the mode term. So what it will be? Minus 2 is the first term. So minus 2, it will be 4. The second term is 0. So 0 minus 2 will be 2. Then the third term is 2. So it will be 2 minus 2, which is 0. Fourth term is, which is the fourth term? 4 minus 2, which is 2. Then 6 minus 2, which is 4. So once you have these terms, which is the difference, you have to sum it and you have to divide it by the number of terms. It's mean deviation. You need to find it from the mean. I hope it's clear for all of you. I could see some participants have raised their hands and yes, just hold on for a minute. I could see some students typing in the chat box. Just try to find out the difference between the mean and the mean deviation. If we want to discuss this question once again, we'll be discussing it towards the end of the session. Now I think I have this next question. Is question number 3 visible to all of you? Nobody is replying. So this is also a very simple question which you have studied in your school. I think this question is there in your textbook. Limit x tends to 0, sine of pi cos square x by x square is equal to. The answer is something related to pi, pi by 2, 1 or minus pi, which is the answer. I hope you are able to see the question and you are solving it from your side. Limit x tends to 0, sine pi cos square x by x square is equal to, what's the value? So you can use something which you have studied, limit x tends to 0 sine x by x, or limit x tends to 0 sine ax by ax, or I would say limit f of x tends to 0 sine f of x by f of x, which is equal to 1. You have to use that property to solve this question. Yes, somebody have replied. I think the answer is pi. Okay. So I hope everybody has taken a note of the question. Its limit x tends to 0 sine pi cos square x by x square is equal to, what's the answer? How many of you received the answer? How many of you got the answer? Can we solve it? Yes, we are planning to solve the next question. So limit x tends to 0 sine of pi cos square x by x square. So I know everybody have studied about the 0 by 0 form. The Whenever you have a question like this, you have to think, you have to substitute the value, you have to find out, is it 0 by 0? Do I need to simplify it? Is it something related to the El Hospital rule? Is there anything to do with it? So here, it's of the form limit x tends to 0 sine of pi cos square x by x square. What I'm planning to do is I'm going to simplify it. So I know I need to arrange this, or I need to do arrange this in the same trigonometric form. So instead of cos square x, you can substitute with sine square theta plus cos square theta equal to 1, right? So you can substitute this as 1 minus sine square x. So what it will be? Sine pi multiplied by 1 minus sine square x by x square. Limit x tends to 0, sine of pi cos square x by x square. Instead of cos square x, we are going to substitute 1 minus sine square x. So this is limit x tends to 0, sine of pi multiplied by 1 minus sine square x by x square. So taking this pi inside, it will be sine of pi minus pi sine square x by x square. What is sine pi minus pi sine square x? It will be sine of pi sine square x, right? Sine pi minus theta. So you can simplify this whole term. You can write it as limit x tends to 0, sine of pi sine square x by x square. Now, as this is in this term and I want to use the formula sin x by x form to solve this, what I'm planning to do is I'm going to multiply and divide it with pi sine square x. So I'm multiplying it with pi sine square x and dividing it with pi sine square x. So I'll have the same term here. So limit x tends to 0, sine pi sine square x divided by pi sine square x multiplied by pi sine square x by x square. So you can take this pi outside. So what this will be? Something like limit f of x tends to 0, sine of f of x by f of x. It will be 1. Similarly, here also it will be sine x square or sine square x by x square. Here also the term will be 1. So you can just take this pi outside. You can have two terms with these limits. It will be limit x tends to 0, sine of pi sine square x by pi sine square x multiplied by pi into limit x tends to 0 sine square x by x square. Now substituting for these two limits as 1, what's the answer? You can substitute for these two limits. It will be limit pi sine square x tends to 0. This term will be 1, and limit x tends to 0 sine square x by x square. It is sine x by x whole square. So these two terms will be 0 and you will have pi multiplied by 1 into 1. So the answer is pi, which is option A. I think some students have typed in the chat box. So yes. Yes, you can use the rule which gives you pi. Or whenever you're solving these type of questions, you need to think of which one or which format you need to decide on, or which one you need to or which trigonometric identity or which identity you need to focus on, which one you want to add on. That's what you need to consider. So I think we'll move on to the next question. As it's the initial class, we'll be discussing less questions, and maybe in the next class, we'll be discussing more of them. So this is the next question. It's also a very simple question. I hope the screen is visible. If vector A, vector B, vector C are unit vectors, vector A plus 2, B plus 2 is equal to 0, then I need to find out the cross of A and C. I need to find out the cross of A and C. This is also a very simple question. Given they are unit vectors, and also one, you have an equation, or I would say a statement connecting all of them, you need to find out A cross C. I have the options 1 by 4, root 15 by 16, 15 by 16, root 15 by 4. So you can just think from where you have to start this. It's A and C. It's a relation between A and C. So where you have to start, you need to think in that way. The question was asking a relation between A and C. So from where I need to start answering this question? From where I should start? So just a question to all the students here. If there is anything, you can type that in the chat box. So I'll be looking into the chat box. And I hope you are able to solve the questions along with me. If you need anything, you can give your comments maybe towards the end of the session. Something like what you want to do. Do you want to spend more time to each question? So we can sort those things maybe towards the next session. And maybe towards the end of the session, I would provide my mail ID or number. If there are any questions, any individual questions which you want to discuss first, you can directly contact me. So what's the answer of this question? From where you have started answering it? What's the answer? Which option is correct? Is it 1 by 4, root 15 by 16, or 15 by 16, or root 15 by 4? Which one is correct? So I think we'll begin it. I hope almost all the portions, I think almost all the portions got over in your school. And maybe it's the last of the second last chapter, and maybe you have started your revisions also for the examination. So this is something which is given in the question, right? So as I have the statement here, as I need to get it in terms of A and C, I've just rearranged it as vector A plus, I could write this as A plus 2Z equal to minus 2B. Is it correct? I have just rearranged what's given in the question because I need the answer in that way. So A plus 2C equal to minus 2B. So now you need to square on both sides, and you can just use the formula A plus B whole square. So when you're squaring, you have this term, right? That's A plus B whole square. So it will be vector A square plus 4 into vector C square plus it's 2AB, right? Plus 2 into vector A vector C. And here it will be 4 into vector B square. Now this you can write as, because we all know all of them are unit vectors, this value will be 1, this will be 1, and the last term will be, this is 4 AC, and this also will be 1, so it is 4. So you'll have a value in terms of A dot C. So it's something like 4A dot C is equal to minus 1. From there, you can get the value in dot. It's A dot C is equal to minus 1 by 4. Now you need to understand, or now you need to identify all the formulas that you have studied about the cross product, something related to the cross product and the dot product. So I hope you remember this formula, right? So you have A dot C, it's cos theta. So you will be able to replace this with cos theta. So you know what's the value of cos theta? It's minus 1 by 4. Once you have the value of cos theta, It's easy to find out the sine theta, and by that way you'll be able to find out the cos also. So what is sine theta? It will be 1 minus cos square theta. It will be 1 minus 1 by 16. So it will be 15 by 16. Now this is the formula, right? A cross C is equal to vector A, vector C, sine theta. So you have the sine theta, you have these two values, which is 1. So sine theta was 15 by 16. So you'll get this as it is sine square theta. So you'll get sine theta as root of 15 by 16. You can simply rearrange this as root 15 by 4. This is how you solve this question. Whenever you have a question, what you need to start with, you need to think on what you need to start with. What all things you know, what all are there, which all things you can relate with in such a way that you will be able to solve this question. I hope this question is clear. So I'll just show the answer once again. You can just go through it. If there is any doubt, you can type that in the chat box. These are some of the questions which are of previous JEE as well as AEEE. So you need to concentrate on these type of questions more. You need to have an idea about the basic theory, then you need to concentrate on these type of questions because it's really important. And I would say, as a person who is working in this field maybe for the past some years, it's really advisable for you to take as much as mock test as you can. And whenever you have the free time, try to solve the questions. So this is, all of them are unit vectors. This is something which is given in the question and you need to find the answer in terms of A and C. So how we are going to arrange it and how we are going to think in such a way that you will be able to find out the cross of A and C. So whatever is given in the question, I have rearranged it in such a way that I'll have the A and C and the B at the other part. And I have, once I'm done with these things, once I got this value, I need to think about this formula. Once I have the cos, will I be able to find out the sine so that I'll be able to use this formula to find out the cross. A cross is equal to AC into sine theta. You need to remember this. You need to find out the value in such a way that you will be able to substitute it. Is this question clear? Can we move towards the next question? I want the session to be more interactive. I think students are not typing in the chat box. I hope it's clear. Can we move towards the next question? Yes. So this is also an interesting question which used to come by ABC. It's like a single question which will have maybe multiple parts. So I would just read out the question. You can think what is there in the question, how you're going to answer it. Consider the circle x square plus y square equal to 9 and the parabola y square equal to 8x. They intersect at P and Q in the first and fourth quadrants respectively. I would just read it once again. Consider the circle x square plus y square equal to 9 and the parabola y square equal to 8x. So I have two things at the initial part. I have a circle, I have a parabola. They intersect at P and Q in the first and fourth quadrant. So first quadrant, that's P, and the fourth quadrant, that's Q. That's given. The circle and parabola is intersecting in the first and fourth quadrant, and there are 2 points which are given, it's P and Q. Now, tangents to the circle at P and Q intersect the x-axis at R. Now, another thing came, it is tangents to the circle. There are tangents to the circle. It is passing through the points P and Q. They are intersecting the x-axis at the point R. Similarly, there are tangents to the parabola also. So the tangents to the parabola at the points P and Q, they intersect the x-axis at the point S. So I have a circle, I have a parabola, I have these tangents. Now they are asking us to find out the ratio of the areas of the triangle PQS and PQR. They're asking us to find out the ratio of the areas of the triangles PQS and PQR. I know you have studied different things. Maybe you are thinking about different formulas. So just read the question 2 to 3 times and Think how we will be able to draw a diagram with all these things about the tangents, about the parabola, about the circle. It's discussing about you have a circle and a parabola, and both of them intersect at P and Q in the first and the fourth quadrant. Think about where is the first quadrant, where is the fourth quadrant. So where the points of P and Q will be. And there are tangents to the circle at the points P and Q. They intersect in the x-axis at R. Similarly to the parabola, they intersect in the x-axis at S. So we have two another points R and S. We need to find out the ratio of areas of the triangles PQS and PQR. Maybe some of you in the initial part, when you read this question, you have a lot of things. Maybe some students have already encountered these questions, maybe in their class. So those students who feel like, yeah, this is the first time I'm going to answer a question like this. Maybe sometimes the diagram which you're planning to frame, maybe it can go wrong, but it's completely fine. When you're practicing these questions, you'll get an idea. Yeah, I have to solve this in this way. When this type of questions come, I need to use this method to solve it. This type of feeling will only come when you're answering a lot more questions. So I'm waiting for you to frame the diagram from your side. Yes, I could see some students have typed the answers already, but it's completely fine if you're not able to solve it in the first go. It's completely fine. Try to explore these things and try to find out the ways in which you'll be able to answer the question. So the ratios of PQS and PQR is given as 1 is to root 2, 1 is to 2, 1 is to 4, 1 is to 8. Somebody has answered it as 1 is to 4, I think. Yes, somebody have answered it as 1 by 4. So let's see. I think at least some of you have framed the diagram. Yes. So if you're having any doubts, you can just take the screenshots of these questions. You can discuss it again. You can study this again. And those students who feel like, yeah, I'll be attending all the sessions, just keep a book for just problem solving, exclusively for this problem solving. It is really important to have all these questions so that you'll be able to revise it again. Yes. So we'll start solving it. So this is the diagram. And this is also a very common question which is there in the previous JEE. I don't remember the year, but it was like 3 or 4 questions will come in the single one. So the equation of the circle is x square plus y square equal to 9, and equation of the parabola is y square equal to 8x. So we know these two things, right? Now what you need to do is you need to solve for x. It's y square equal to 8x. You can substitute it simply here and you can solve for x. The initial or the basic idea that has to be there in your mind has to be this. So what it will be? X square plus 8x equal to 9. So we need to identify the root. So this will be x plus 9 and x minus 1. So it will be x equal to minus 9 and x equal to 1. So what's the value of x that is possible? The value of x that's possible is x equal to 1. Initial basic idea. Now come to the diagram. You have this parabola here. You have the circle here. These are the two tangents which is, and I would say the first and fourth quadrant. The points are, it's intersecting at the points P and Q. Now we have the two tangents and the points R and the S. So this is something which satisfies what you have read in the question, or this is something which satisfies what's there in the question. A circle and the parabola intersect at the points P and Q in the first and the fourth quadrant. There are two tangents. It meets the x-axis. For the circle, it meets the x-axis at the point R, and for the parabola, it meets the x-axis at the point S. This is something you have. Now, just going back to the question, it's PQS and PQR. So all the points are given in the question, right? So PQS, what it will be? This is PQS and this is PQR. So these two are the triangles here. You need to find out the area of both of them and you need to find the ratio. It's PQS and PQR. So here you have the value of x, right? You have just substituted it and you found the value of x. Now what you need to find out? You need to find out the value of y. So y is equal to 8x, it is 1. So y square is equal to x is 1. We already found that, right? So here y square equal to 8. So what's the value of y? It will be plus or minus 2 root 2. Now you have the value of x and y. You can easily, you have found the coordinates for the p and q. It will be 1. This is 2 root 2. As it's negative, it will be 1 minus 2 root 2. So the first part is over. We know these two. Now what I have to understand is I need to find the values of r and s. So I need to use the equation of the circle and the equation of the parabola. I need to use this to solve or to find the values of s and r. So the equation of the circle, it's x square plus y square equal to 9, which is given. So we can write this as x1 plus y1 equal to 9. So once you substitute it, you know the value, right? It's x plus 2 root 2, y equal to 9. So when you're substituting for y equal to 0, you have the value of x equal to 9. So you got the first point, which is r, which is 9, 0. Similarly, you can find this with the, find the next value also here, which is with the equation of parabola. So y square equal to 8x, you can write this as y1 is equal to, this is 4a, right? So you can write this as y1 is equal to 4 into x plus x1. So this is 2 root 2 y equal to 4 into x plus 1. So when y becomes 0, the value of x will be minus 1. So you got the values of x and y here also. So the coordinate of s is minus 1, 0 and the coordinate of r is 9, 0. I hope up to this you have got a clear idea. If there is anything, you can type it in the chat box. I think some students are facing difficulty. So it's like a lot of students are rejoining here. Okay. Yes. So we identified the values of R and S. So once you have the values of R and S, what you need to understand is you need to find out the value of the two triangles. So once you have the coordinates, if you have the coordinate of P, Q, and S, it's easy to find out. Whichever method you want, you can use it. Once you have the coordinate of P, Q, and R, all of them, it's easy to find out the area. So you can use whichever method you want. So here, the first one is area of the triangle PQR. It could be half into PQ into RT. Here I have the value of PQ. From this, I can find out what is PQ and what is RT. If the S is, this point is minus 1, 0, then this is the middle, it will be 1, 0. So the T point will be 1, 0. So it is half into base into height. You can use that. So once you have all these coordinates, it's easy to find out the area. Just using the coordinates, you can find out the value of PQ and RT and you can solve it the area. You can find out the area. So for the first one, initially you have the area of PQR as 1 by 2 into 4 root 2 into 8. It's 16 root 2. Similarly, for the second one, area of the triangle PQS is half into PQ into TS. You know T, you know S, you know Q and P. So the second area is half into 4 root 2 into 2. When you have the distance between minus 1, 0 and 1, 0, it's easy to find it, right? Now you have the area as 4 root 2. So the ratios of both of them, it's PQS to PQR. It's 4 root 2 to 16 root 2. It's 1 is to 4. So this is how you answer this question, and the correct answer for this question is option C. I know some students may feel like how or why this happened or what is happening in this question. So we'll just redo it again. We'll just discuss this again. If there is anything that you wish to specify at this point, you can just type it in the chat box. I'm just looking into the chat box. Okay. So yes, we'll discuss all the things once again because this is a very important question and these type of questions used to come in different entrance examinations. So we have a circle, its equation is x square plus y square equal to 9. We have a parabola which is y square equal to 8x. So they intersect at different points P and Q in the quadrants. It's also given, it's in the first and the fourth quadrant. P is in the first quadrant and Q is in the fourth quadrant. So you can think about the sign here. Then there are tangents to the circle at the points P and Q. They intersect the x-axis at R. And for the parabola, it intersects the x-axis at S. You need to find the ratio of these two triangles. It's PQS and PQR. So initially you need to find out the value of P and Q. That is really important. What's the value of P? What's the value of Q? So once you have this equations of circle and parabola, you can substitute this y square here and you can identify what's the value of x, and resubstituting you can find the value of y. So you have the two coordinates here, x and y, that is 1 and 2 root 2, or 1 and minus 2 root 2, because for y we got this as plus or minus 2 root 2. So the coordinates are 1 2 root 2 and 1 minus 2 root 2. Once you have these two values, you can find out the values of r and s, because you have the equation of circle and the parabola here, and you know the concept, right? We can use this as x1 plus y1 equal to, what's the value given? It's 9. You can substitute for y equal to 0 and find out the coordinate. It's 9, 0 for the value of r. And similarly, you know y square is equal to 8x. You can substitute y1 is equal to 4 into x plus x1. You can substitute those values and you can find out the value of s also here. So once you have the value of r and s, you have all the coordinates, right? And if s is minus 1, 0, you can imagine the next point, which is t, what the coordinate value will be. It will be 1, 0. So if you have the coordinates of all of them, and if you have these two triangles, then it's very easy to find out the area of all of them. So yes, it's just like you have to find the area of these two, then you have to find the ratio. So yes, I hope this question is clear. Can we move towards the next question? I hope so. So next is a very simple question. I think everybody will get this answer correct. Yes. If one of the roots of the equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0 is 2 minus 3i, then the other root is. If one of the roots of the equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0 is 2 minus 3i, then the other root is. It has two parts, real and imaginary. You need to think about that only. So there are different options. Option A is 3 minus 2i. Option B is 3 plus 2i. Option C is 2 plus I. Option D is 2 plus 3i. Which will be the answer? I'm waiting for your replies in the chat box. And initially, one more tip. Whenever you are planning to study for the competitive examination, don't start with shortcuts initially. Try to solve the problem in whatever method or whatever is the proper method, then go and try out the shortcuts. This is also a tip. Why? Because if you're only focusing on the shortcuts, maybe in some point you'll not be able to solve some problem using this shortcut. So yes, if one of the roots of the equation ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0, then 2 minus 3i, one of the root is 2 minus 3i, then what's the other root? Can anybody type in the chat box this answer? It's just going to provide you a 3 mark or 4 mark, whichever exam it is. So when are most of the questions which is in this format, when we have the first root given, I would say, and if it's in the format of conjugate pair, it will be in the form of conjugate pair. So if one root is 2 minus 3i, or if the first root that is given to you is 2 plus 3i, then the second root will be obviously 2 plus 3i or 2 minus 3i. It will always be the pair of values. So for this question, they have given the equation as ax square plus bx plus c equal to 0. And they have given the first root as 2 minus 3i. Then obviously the second one will be 2 plus 3i. It's the simple logic. And you can use this whenever you see these type of roots in a question. So I hope it's clear. Now moving on to the next question, which is also a very simple question, but a common type of question in all the competitive examinations. I hope you have studied about the Poisson distribution also. You know the Poisson random variable. So if x is a Poisson random variable such that p of x equal to 1 is equal to p of x equal to 2, then the mean of the distribution is. You need to know the formula only to solve this question. You need to have an understanding about what's the formula. Then it's really easy or simple to solve this question. So remember the distribution that you have studied, or start remembering about the Poisson random variable that you have studied. So I hope the slides are visible. I mean, hope the screen is visible. Yes, can anybody just raise your hand or type in if it's visible? Yes, thank you, Harishankar. Thank you so much. If x is a Poisson random variable such that the probability of x equal to 1 is equal to p of x equal to 2, then the mean of the distribution. Yes, I think maybe all of you have not studied about this, but it's a very important area or very important part when it comes to competitive examination. So I would give you an idea about what's a Poisson random variable. So it can be defined as the number of successes that result from a Poisson experiment. So it's basically the success of an event, or what's the success of an event. So the distribution, we call this as Poisson distribution. So you can just remember this thing. Up to this is really important. This part is really important. This is something which you need to have an understanding because you have to solve this problem. Given the mean number of successes denotes by the lambda, or you can use any other, in different textbooks there are different representations that occur in a specified region. Then the Poisson probability equation is P of x comma lambda. Or even we'll write this as P of x is to lambda, where lambda is the mean. In this question, it's asking us to find out the value of lambda, which is the mean. Here in this distribution, the probability, we can write this as P of x equal to e raised to minus lambda into lambda raised to x by x factorial, where x is the value. It's already given in the question, what's the value of x, whether in the distribution, whether x is 1 or x is 2. So we need to find out the value of lambda here, which is the mean here. So here, when x equal to 1, we have this equation substituted for x as 1. This will be e raised to minus lambda into lambda raised to 1 by 1 factorial. And when x equal to 2, we have the distribution substituted as e raised to minus lambda, square by 2 factorial. So here, this e raised to minus lambda will get cancelled, and you'll have lambda by 1 equal to lambda square by 2. So from this, what will be the value of lambda? Lambda will be equal to 2, and this is the mean. So in the case of Poisson, I would say the variance is also the same thing as the mean. So whenever you come across this type of questions, most of the questions will be asking for what's the value of mean or what's the value of variance. So whenever you find the variance, that's the same value. Whenever you find the mean, that will be the same value for the variance also. And maybe in some questions, they'll be asking you to find out what is P of x, something like P of x equal to 4, P of x equal to 7, P of x equal to 5. These type of questions will be there. So once you have the value of lambda equal to 2 here, or once you find out what's the value of lambda here, when the question is asking P of x equal to 4, what's the value of P of x equal to 4? It will be e raised to minus 2 into 2 raised to 4 divided by 4 factorial. Simply, you'll be able to substitute this value and you'll be able to solve it. These are the common type of questions that come in most of the competitive examination from this category. So I hope you have received an idea about this question. Okay, there might be students have not studied about it, but this is also something which you need to study when you are planning to focus on different competitive examinations. It's not like I'm not asking you to find out which textbook is this concept is or something like that. You can just come across different problems when you are solving it. Okay, we'll come across different problems when you're solving it. This is another question. I think this is a previous year AEEE question, Amrita entrance examination question. A child is allowed to choose 3 items from a room, which contains 5 comic books, 3 dolls, and 4 dresses. The number of the ways the items can be chosen such that at least 2 of them are comic books. Me as a child, I need to select 3 items from a room which have 5 comic books, 3 dolls, and 4 dresses. I need to choose them in such a way that at least 2 of them are comics. So this is probability and distribution. Uh, yes, what will be the probability? Oh, I'm so sorry. It's about the combinations. I got the name, chapter name wrong. So it's like how many from the combination or how many from the total count. So I have a total of, I'll just read it again, 5 comic book, 3 dolls and 4 dress. As a child, I need to choose things in such a way that 2 comics is compulsory. The rest, I need to choose 3 items. Okay, there is something like the number of ways of choosing 3 items. Okay, just remember this thing also when you're writing the question. The number of ways of choosing 3 items, it's not written here, such that at least 2 of them are comics. Yes, I think some students have typed their answers in the chat box. Okay. Yes. So we'll start understanding how we are going to answer this question. I have 5 comic books, 3 dolls, and 4 dresses. Number of the ways in which I'll be able to choose items in such a way that it's like 3 is the limit, 2 of them has to be comics. So these are the 3 ways in which I can select items. They're asking me to select, or whenever I'm selecting, 2 have to be comic books. That's the fixed one. So I could choose 3 also, right? It can be 5C3. The next one is I'm choosing 2 comics. I can choose one from the dress. Or the next one is I'm choosing 2 comics. I can choose one from the doll part. So it's something like 3 dolls, 4 dresses. So the first one will be 5C2, 3C1. It's from dolls. One from the dolls. The second one is 2 comics and 1 dress. It will be 4C1. And the third will be 3 comics alone. It's 5C3. So how you will be able to write it? It's just an addition of these 3. The total you have to find out. So here when you take this 5C2 outside, you have 3C1 plus 4C2 plus 5C3. So it's just simple mathematics, something like NCR that you have studied. N factorial by n minus r factorial into r factorial. The very simple thing that you have studied, you can just subtract those. You can just multiply. You can just solve this. Okay. So it's also a very simple question. So now I have another question for you. This is also very simple. This is also a previous year I think JEE question. The previous one that we have discussed is a AEEE question. This is now a JEE question. Let fk of x equal to 1 by k sine raised to kx plus cos kx, where x belongs to R and they have given k is greater than or equal to 1. F4 of x minus f6 of x is equal to. They have given the value of k. The first one that's k is uh, 4, and for the second one the value of k is 6. You need to find out what's the answer, what's the value, what's the total here. Fk of x equal to 1 by k sine kx plus cos kx. It's given that x belongs to R, k greater than or equal to 1. That's also given. I need to find out f4 of x minus f6 of x. What will be the value? In the case of f4 of x, you can write this as 1 by 4 into sine raised to 4x plus cos raised to 4x. In the case of f6 of x, you can write this as 1 by 6 into sine raised to 6x plus cos raised to 6x. Now we have to solve this question. You can directly substitute it. You can use different formulas that you have studied, and then you will be able to solve this question. So whenever you have solved the previous year's JEE questions, you may come across these question papers. So yeah, let's see how we can solve this question. So this is the basic idea. F4 of x minus F6 of x equal to 1 by 4 sine raised to 4x plus cos raised to 4x minus 1 by 6 sine raised to 6x plus cos raised to 6x. Now look at the option. I'm sorry. Uh, yeah. So now look at the options. How it's given. It's just numbers. So you need to arrange these things in such a way that all these formulas disappear, or you have to get values in the place of the sine and cos in such a way that you'll get this thing. Something called 1 by 12, 1 by 6, 1 by 3, 1 by 4. You need to think in that way. So here I have substituted it like this. 1 by 4 into sine raised to 4x plus cos raised to 4x minus 1 by 6 into sine raised to 6x plus cos raised to 6x. Maybe you are thinking about sine square theta plus cos square theta. You are thinking about different formulas, right? So here it is in the form of a square plus b square. The first term and the second term, both of them are in the form of a square plus b square. So what is a square plus b square? You may think like that, right? So it will be a plus b whole square minus 2ab. So here I could take this as sine square x plus cos square x. I can take this as sine square x plus cos square x. So I'm just going to solve for f4 of x. It is 1 by 4 into sine square x plus cos square x whole square minus 2 into sine square x into cos square x. What is sine square theta plus cos square theta? It's 1. So 1 square. It will be 1 minus 2 into sine square x cos square x. So you have simplified this into a form. So what will be f4 of x? It is 1 by 4 into or 1 by 4 minus 1 by 2 into sine square x cos square x. Similarly, when looking at f6 of x, you'll have it as it's raised to 6. So you can think about the cube. It's something a cube or b cube, square or something like that, right? So you can use this formula here, a cube plus b cube equal to a plus b whole cube minus 3ab into a plus b. All these are the formulas which we have studied maybe in our lower classes itself, right? So we are making use of these formulas to solve it. So a cube plus b cube equal to a plus b whole cube minus 3ab into a plus b. So here I could write this as sine square x plus cos square x whole cube minus 3 into this is sine square x cos square x into sine square x plus cos square x. So this term will be 1, this term will be 1. So this will be 1 cube minus 3 into sine square x cos square x into 1. So I have simplified this in the similar form of f4 of x. I got this as 1 by 6 minus 1 by 2 into sine square x into cos square x. So once you have simplified it, you can directly substitute it. So when you substitute this, you can see that these two terms are cancelling. It's something like 1 by 4 minus 1 by 2 sine square x cos square x minus 1 by 6 plus 1 by 2 sine square x cos square x. These two terms will get cancelled and you have something called 1 by 4 minus 1 by 6. So it's just 1 by 12. So the correct answer for this question is option A, which is 1 by 12. So this is really simple, right? Whatever you have studied, whatever you have an understanding about, whatever you have come across, you need to use that formula. So I would say one thing in mathematics is you will have to have an understanding when you read a question, you need to have an understanding which formula to use, what I have to do. So always read the question and look at the options and which form the answer is. Whatever format the answer is given, you need to be really careful about it. And you need to think in such a way that how I'll be able to change or frame or substitute the question in such a way that I'll be able to pick one option. How to reframe the question with what all things are given Maybe even you can use the reverse method. We can, in some questions, we'll discuss those questions maybe in the upcoming days. You can just use that reverse method also. Or you can substitute each option in the question and you can remove the options. That's also another method to attend the competitive examination. So I think as it's already 7:15, I'll stop. As it's already 7, I think I'll stop today's session. There are a lot more questions to discuss. We'll be discussing those questions in the upcoming days. Uh, so students, I hope the session was useful. We'll have the sessions maybe every week, and what I would advise is something like you have to um, always try to write more, maximum competitive examinations that is possible from your side. So it's like maximum mock test. As you all know, I think most of you have come across the Amrita CPT portal where you have completed the test last week. So now the reports are already available. How many questions you have completed, which all answers are correct, and all of them, even the solutions to some questions are there in the portal. You can go and check it. Maybe you can see yourselves improving after 1 or 2 weeks. So if there is anything to ask, you can just type it in the chat box. Yes, I could see some students have raised their hands. And one more thing is, I would just type my mail ID as well as my number in the chat box. So if there is anything, uh, you can directly contact me. Yes, I could see in previous question. Is the number and the mail ID visible to all of you? Okay. So students, please note down this number and mail ID. If I'm not replying you, maybe in the first try, maybe you can just send me a message. So I'll get back to you as soon as possible. So I hope the session was useful. So thank you so much for attending. We'll have these sessions in the upcoming days. And if you have any suggestions also, you can type that in the chat box. So yes, maybe about the session, about these questions, about how you want it from your side, you can write those suggestions also to us. So thank you so much for attending. And maybe we could see it in the next week. And this Sunday also you have the practice test. So please do attend it. It's just an opportunity for you to understand yourself, maybe to identify which area you are strong or weak. Just try to make use of this opportunity. And I would like to mention about one more program, which is an engineering foundation program, which is going to happen from Monday to Friday next week. It's from same evening 6 to 7. Maybe we have come across different mathematics topics today, right? About probability and different topics. So this program gives you an idea about what these topics are used in our real life. Maybe it's technology, maybe something related to science. So if you are interested to know about the applications of different topics, you can just join the program, because I would say from an engineer's point of view, it's really important to know the application, where it's being used. It's not about studying all the mathematical formulas and all, something like we have done in our school. It's knowing the application. Why am I studying all these things? So it's an answer to this question. So I hope the session was useful, and thank you so much students for attending. I hope you'll be participating in the next sessions also. Thank you so much.
Lakshmi
Okay.
ma'am. Hello, Lakshmi ma'am. Are you there?
Hello. Hello.
We can post that registration link in our chat box, ma'am.
Okay, okay. I'll be typing the registration link of EFP in the chat box. Just hold on for a minute.
That will be useful for the students, ma'am.
It's amrita.edu/EFP. Yes, I have posted the link in the chat box also. So you can just register for the program using this link. And yeah, thank you so much all for attending. Thank you. Ma'am, I think we can end the session.